Hey everyone, I'm Rather Coherent, and today we're going to talk about the Father Mateo build I just took through Dark Matter on the channel. Now, when I talk about characters, I always assume they're in a team that wants them there. So with Father Mateo, I think he has a very clear strength and a very clear weakness. His strength is that he's one of the best at capitalizing on the Bless archetype. The reason for that is because Ancient Covenant Favor the Sun is sick in anyone, of course. However, he has access to Holy Rosary too as a mystic, using Ancient Covenant to force passes on first action Rite of Seeking is disproportionately strong. His wide stat line is usually unfortunate, but Ancient Covenant lets him use this Favor the Sun to essentially test anything and pass that the scenario asks or that a Mythos card wants. Jacob Morrison fully cancels out the fact that you're a forehead mystic and then some. He's wonderful. He combines all the best things to fix being a forehead mystic, and then he gets a lot of value out of them beyond that. He's a very, very good user of all the Blessed Synergy stuff. And by that, I specifically mean Holy Rosary 2 and Jacob Morrison, because most of the Blessed stuff I view as a trap. The best thing in Blessed by a mile is Ancient Covenant with Favor of the Sun. Jacob Morrison is the second best thing. And then after that, a Watchful Peace is really good, but it's a lot of experience, and Blessing of Isis or Nephthys are also really good, but it's a lot of experience. And I find that this is the best way to capitalize on Bless out of any character. Oh, and Ward of Radiance, of course. That should definitely be in the number 3 slot, or maybe even tied with Jacob Morrison for number 2. I played this card a lot throughout the campaign. I found I had a huge amount of Mythos resilience because of having 4 copies of Ward 2, basically. However, something that is really, really good about Ward of Radiance, if you look at the math on it, it's really insane. There should be a really good review by somebody on Arkham DP, I vaguely recall this. When I played this, I only had one time all campaign where I had to use a Favor of the Sun to force the pass. It's just so good. It really is just a Ward of Protection 2 that doesn't work at different locations. And yeah, here we go. Here are the odds for reveal 5 tokens and reveal 7. Even with 3 blesses in the bag, you can see that with a 20 card bag, it's a 2/3 chance. If you have 5 blesses in the bag and a 16 bag, that's an 85%. It's so likely to pass, and you have Favor of the Sun to force it when it misses. It's an incredibly good card. And again, you can go deeper into Blessed Synergy than this. You can run Nephthys. I don't think you have the experience or the money. You can run Makosi and Blessing of Isis. But when you're doing that, you're being greedy. You're avoiding using Favor of the Sun because you want to hit a Blessed token first by seeing a symbol, and then pull the second one with this to trigger Isis. I think this is the right balance between Blessed Synergy and greed. I think it's core to the deck that you have to run Olive McBride and Voice of Ra, because the economy in Mystics is just trash. If all you need to play is spells, you can run Engage the Soul. But if you also need to run Jacob Morrison and Holy Rosary and Favor of the Sun, your economy just falls apart. And I think you need Olive McBride and Word of Ra, or Voice of Ra rather, to really just increase the soak in the deck, increase the consistency of finding good tokens, make Voice of Ra work as powerful economy. Every time I ever played Voice of Ra, I had it function as at least emergency cash. I think I only had it as emergency cash once though. I think almost every other time I got 5 resources. I got 7 and 9 a couple of times. It's a very good piece of economy if you're filling the bag with blesses and if you have Olive McBride. Especially if you have Olive McBride. She really is unnecessary. I played it without her many times. Now, this gets into the awkward part of the deck. You will ask yourself, is this the only way you put blesses in the bag? And the answer is yeah, that's it. That's all I do. I don't do anything else. You can run Tempt Fates, and I did run Tempt Fates earlier, but once you have 72 experience, maybe swap them out for Seal of the Elder Sign. You are Father Mateo after all. And before I got rid of the Tempt Fates, that was all I had. I never ran more than Tempt Fate Rosary 2, because that's the weakness of Mateo. I was just talking about how bad the economy is. You can't really afford to run Keep Faith. I had no way of fitting that in the deck, and I was broke all the time, so I don't think there was something else I could have done. There are a lot of cards that can put blesses in the bag, but none of them really fit in the deck. What am I cutting? Scroll of Secrets? It's basically Deep Knowledge. Don't lie to me. It's basically Deep Knowledge. Instead of putting 2 curses in the bag, you spend a resource, give up a hand slot for a little while, and it takes a while, but it still draws you 3 cards for almost nothing. If the only cuttable card is the entirety of the draw in the deck, I don't have cuts. So I can't really put blesses in the build without being notably worse at something. This talk about not putting blesses in myself, it's why it's important that I played him alongside Sister Mary. See, if you can't fit it into your own deck, then you need to be in a team that does it for you. You need to be playing alongside of another survivor, somebody with Ancient Covenant of their own that's using Signum Crucis a lot, like a Calvin, and Amanda can also do it, or just play alongside Sister Mary. She'll do enough on her own to put blessings in the bag, and that's all you need. So the awkward thing with Mateo is that you need someone else on the team putting them in for you. Holy Rosaries are great, but on their own, they're not enough. But provided you meet that criteria, he's really, really good. His ability to do any test, trip any boss, that's really, really good. He has Mystic Clue Compression, so even though his movement is absolute ass, he has literally no movement cards, not just in this build, but basically available to him. It's pretty much just Astral Shift and Summon Servitor, and there's nothing I can cut for this. There's nothing I can cut for anything, really, it's just rough. But he gives your team a huge amount of Mythos resilience with Ward of Protection, Ward of Radiance, Promise of Power, Guts level 2. He gets the clues, he passes Mythos tests, he has team utility. If you put him in a Blessed build, he's not even broken. He's not even close to broken. I wouldn't even call him particularly strong, but he is good. He's definitely not even like fine or passable. He's definitely actually quite good, but he's not strong. There's too much criteria. He still doesn't have any movement. His economy's still tense and nerve-wracking. The complete lack of movement tech really does hold Mystics down. In the right home, I'd say he's pretty good. In the right home specifically, it looks like I would put him around the middle exactly of good tier, right next to the other best user, Ancient Covenant, Favor of the Sun. I think he has a home, but I don't think that he's particularly strong. That said, playing him, he feels a lot better than he is, because even though other people are doing the same thing better and faster, just being able to tell the game, actually that guy's just tripped. Oh no, it's fine, I can do the 4-fist test, it's not even a problem. Being able to say whatever you need to happen happens makes you feel so unstoppable. So in a Blessed team, I think Father Mateo is actually a lot of fun to play, but he really does need to be alongside someone else. There's nothing to cut to put the Blesses in yourself, and it's just rough. But in a Blessed team, he's good. In his home, he's a good character, he's fun to play. But the moment you take him out, man, it's just rough. I can't imagine having played this alongside someone who didn't put Blesses in the bag, trying to find cuts for Tempt Fate and Keep Faith. Like, obviously, I don't need to Seal the Elder Sign, that can be a Tempt Fate, but I'd have to run Keep Faith too. I don't know what to cut for it, it's just rough. Purple Economy is not quite in a state where this guy can be self-sufficient. And I guess I should go over to the level 0 deck before I start ending the video. The level 0 deck, it's a Mystic, right? It's the same deck, you just saw this. Especially because we're Father Mateo, so we have 5 more experience. We start with Ancient Covenant, Favor of the Sun, because of course we do. Our missing spells are going to be Read the Signs. Tempt Fates eventually became Steal the Elder Sign. This really doesn't ever need to leave the deck normally. But without additionally Keep Faith, I still don't think you put enough in yourself. And the economy is not there to do that, which is just unfortunate. But on the whole, of all the weaker characters in the game, I would say Father Mateo is the most streamlined and fluid to play if you're in a Blessed team. If you're in a Blessed team, Father Mateo feels like a strong character. And then you realize that like you are almost not finishing every scenario and it's not actually strong, but boy howdy does it feel strong. That's gonna be it for now though. I've been rather incoherent. This has been my brief rant on how Father Mateo feels better than he is, but like, he is legitimately good. He's not bad, he's not just passable, he's legitimately good, but he feels so much better. Because you have that ability to determine what happens ahead of time, you feel much safer playing with a Father Mateo than any other comparable character. And it's always worth noting that if you are playing in a team with somebody like a Winifred who lives in perpetual fear of that auto-fail, Father Mateo is a great ally, and their value in that team goes up tremendously. Not just because of what they do, but also because of what they promise, and the safety that gives to your Winifred. This is essentially the same thing as having a Lucky in hand. Maybe you'd be afraid to take that test at +2 with Retaliate, but with Lucky in hand, you do it every time without even really thinking about it, and that's what Father Mateo does for your Winifred, and it's just night and day difference for how safe and powerful that character can feel. And there are some other characters that also greatly benefit from this. Cho, for instance, is a great star and a big risk of auto failure. So it's worth mentioning that as well before we wrap up. But that's my opinions on Father Mateo. Definitely the best feeling character for their power level by no small margin, but still not particularly strong. I've been rather incoherent. I hope you enjoyed hearing me ramble up Father Mateo for a little while. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff really does help the channel grow. And I'll see you in the next one.